Hello everyone, this is Peter Holdman. Today I wanted to take a look at the new version of Capture One. They just released version 11 with some new toys in it. I have actually not done anything in this yet. I installed it and launched it and made sure it loaded the images, and that's about it. So I'm going to take a look at it and let you know what I think. So here we've got a list of the major improvements, layered workflow. So it looks like they've tweaked the layers a bit, renamed them, added this opacity, which I think will be pretty cool. Feather mask and refine mask looks interesting. Export crop to path, probably not something I'm going to be using, but some people might. Duplicate checker, I'm definitely interested in that. I don't think we're going to get to test that tonight, but I will let people know what if that works or not. Color improvements, we'll play around with that. I don't know how much we'll see. Editing speed, yeah. And then grayscale for the mask. So it looks like we've gotten a lot around layers and masking. The new annotations, that looks like it could be pretty useful. Include the annotations in your exported PSD files as a separate layer. Okay, that's pretty cool for anyone who's working with retoucher or anything that can make notes on that. So let's just take a look at the annotations. I think that's this. Draw annotations. We'll just draw something in here, say whatever. Okay. So we can do that. Let's see. Add a tool. I think they were showing a special annotation tool. So it looks like we can change colors, change the size. If we go onto another tool, the annotations go away unless we have this always display annotations on. Okay. It looks like it could be very useful. In fact, if nothing else, I might use it for when I'm demonstrating stuff in my other videos. Layered workflow. Let's take a look at what some of the layer stuff they have in here is. This is with an older lens, so there's some crud around these, but let's actually let me create a new variant. Take a look at that. Draw on some masking here. Turn on always show mask so we can see what it's doing. Always display mask. And do I have auto masking on? I do not. So let's erase along here. Let me see, do I have a... Come on. Let me turn this all the way up for right now. We'll erase that. We'll let the auto mask do its thing. Go back to brushing in mask. There we go. And let's see. So that's the settings for that. Add more. Let's go back to this one. Let's just make some kind of adjustment on it. Turn off always show. Sorry, I'm using my Wacom tablet here and it's being a little bit finicky on some of these. Oh, display grayscale mask. So that's what the grayscale feature looks like. It could be helpful for cleaning it up, especially if you've got a lot of little bits that maybe you want to clean out of an area. And we'll change that to only display when drawing. Now let's make a random adjustment here. Brighten that up way too much. And then play around with our layer opacity. Refine mask. I'm going to cancel that for right now. Fine mask, feather mask. Okay, so how do we adjust opacity on this? Like I said, I have not worked with this yet. Oh, there we go. Opacity. Maybe the big slider labeled opacity. Okay. That isn't doing anything. I just wanted to make sure that it was updating. That is going to be a really handy feature because it'll let you draw in at a little heavier amount and then bring it down, bring the effects down. That is definitely a cool feature. Let's take a look at... Let's see if we can do a little bit better job with this refine mask. I'm going to get rid of this layer. We'll come up here. Maybe try and draw a little bit better mask on that it can auto mask. All right, so that gives us a mask we can play with. And let's see what the refine does. Display mask. Okay, so I'm looking up in the trees here. Let's apply this, and we'll do looks like it did a pretty decent job of picking out all of the little branches and stuff up here. Let's go into our black and white mode. Let me scale this brush back down. Go into that black and white mode. Take a look at that. All right, where was it? Display grayscale mask. Now this, if we look in close, it's not the greatest. Not the greatest detail in there, so it's not too surprising that it's not a perfect mask on it. Let's see, come on, display grayscale mask. Oh, okay, gotta have the, I got my background selected. So let's do the display grayscale mask. So you can see that did looks like a pretty nice job of isolating that all out. It would probably be a little bit better if the image was sharper through there. That looks like it could be a very, very handy tool. Very handy tool indeed. So we looked at annotations, the layered workflow, layer opacity, pretty cool. Feather and refine mask. Let's, now that we did this, let's just go in and try feathering it. I'm assuming that's going to be pretty similar. Yep, so that would just let you add a soft edge to a mask. Pretty standard of what you'd expect, but definitely a very nice tool to have on there. Export crop to path. Actually, why don't we do this? We'll throw a, we had some annotations on here. We'll throw a crop on and then just do an export to Photoshop, see how that looks. Kind of random, whatever. Do a little recovery stuff there. And then let's just take our export variant and throw that into Photoshop. Or actually, no, let's do it this way. Edit with Photoshop. So it's exporting. It came up on my other screen. Looks like we are launching Photoshop, which I may have to drag up onto the... Apparently I didn't... haven't launched that since I upgraded. So let's let this launch quick. in the meantime, I want to take a look and see if it did the export the annotations, or if we need to do anything extra with that. And then that path to Photoshop. And I'm not seeing anything in Photoshop. That licensing thing may have thrown it off. Exporting over to Photoshop. There we go. Okay, so I am not seeing the path exported. What do we have to do to actually do it? Suppose we take a look at what this shows. Okay, so in the process recipe, export the crop to PSD. So we'll probably need to create a new... Oh, it looks like my recipes didn't carry over. So I'm going to have to look at adding those in. Create a quick process recipe here. Crop to path. We won't do any sharpening on that. Add the annotations as a layer. So it looks like that's what we need to do for that. And then let's hit process on this guy. Yep. Just go with that for right now. It's not proper for my workflow, but we'll let it ride. Okay, so that's processing, and then should open up in Photoshop with the annotations and the crop, and apparently an overlay I had in there. So paths. There's the path. What I don't see is an overlay or an annotation layer. So let me pull that overlay off. Oh, that's why, because I put the annotations. No. Oh, I put the annotations on my old. My old variant. So let me throw some annotations on here, and we will test that out. It'd be kind of nice if there was a text tool instead of having to write stuff. Handwriting is bad enough with without having to go this way. Okay, whatever. So let's just hit that process recipe again. Take a look at what we have in Photoshop. Hopefully we won't have my goofy overlay, and we will have annotations and the crop put in. Okay, so there are the annotations. We can just get rid of those. path. I can hit that. We could just go ahead and crop it there. But that allows us to bring all of this extra data into Photoshop. And it almost acts as an annotation that this is where I want to crop to my, if I was handing an image off to a retoucher. So I think both of those would be most valuable when you're working with someone doing retouching. Since at this point I do my own retouching, it's not hugely valuable to me, although I may use the annotations both for notes on my stuff and for, as I said, some of the training videos. So, I think we have looked at everything except the duplicate checker, and I don't know if we can really say anything about editing speed. Color improvements. I don't know if I've got anything good to test that on. Actually, what I can do, since this would be on the old processing engine, let me just do a clone variant, and we'll upgrade the processing engine on one of these. Upgrade engine. Let's go and do the color editor. Make them look kind of horrible. I don't know that that's one that we're going to see a lot of difference on in just this kind of testing, but I guess we'll see how that comes in. So this new software, we can do upgrade from 9 or 10. Fortunately, if it's older than that, you'll have to buy a new license. So, are the upgrades worth it? Good question. I think if you're working with other retouchers, other photographers with it, I think the annotations and the export crop to path are probably going to be really helpful for you. I don't do a lot of that, so it's going to be limited. Those are going to be limited use. Some of the layer improvements are pretty big, and I think that's going to be worth the upgrade price for me. The other thing is that Phase One's really gone into a model of releasing new updates or new features with the smaller updates, so we can kind of expect some new features to come in, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on the point upgrades and see maybe this isn't quite worth the upgrade cost for you. Maybe something in one of the point upgrades will be. So I think for me it's going to be definitely worth paying the extra upgrade price for some of the layered workflow stuff, and if this duplicate checker works as it should, which I see no reason for it not to, I think that will be pretty valuable, because especially if I'm on a trip, I like to do some smaller incremental uploads and not clear my cards out until I'm back home and everything's been backed up, and I'm sure all my files are safe. So that one by itself will probably save me a bunch of time. So hope this helped if you're considering getting the upgrade. If you like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I have a bunch of editing videos, plan to put more of those out in the future. So thanks everyone, have a great night.